Welcome to the Tattoo Marketing Podcast. On this week's episode, we have Dejae from the Cherry Cherub Tattoo. We talked to her about how she got started in tattooing, wanting to be a Disney animator, what it was like when she left the shop she was working at to start her own, looking for a quality apprentice, and what it's like owning a female-only tattoo studio. Great episode. Enjoy. Welcome to the podcast. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It seems like you have something that you don't see a ton of, which is a female tattoo parlor.
Yep.
Yeah, I was actually trying to think after we had talked. I was like, I can't think of one off the top of my head. So that's super interested to talk to you and learn about that.
Well, thanks for inviting me, I guess. It didn't intentionally plan to be that way, and we've kind of just stumbled into being that, and now we're rocking with it.
Awesome. So how'd you get into tattooing? That's always my favorite question to ask at the beginning, because everybody, has a fairly unique story.
Well, I wanted to be an animator for Disney, but I actually did not want to go to school for it. I was just like, I just got done with school. I don't want to keep doing that. Need a break. Also, school's expensive, and just not, it wasn't part of my plan. So I was hanging out with a group of people, and I met this guy that was like, I know this guy that could help you get into tattooing if you want, and introduced me, and immediately was like, yeah, I'll take you on as my apprentice. It was kind of a rocky apprenticeship, but wrote it out, stuck it out because it's what I wanted to do. So yeah, kind of just fell into it, honestly. It was not even a idea or a plan.
It's kind of funny because most people I talk to, I actually talked to somebody earlier that wanted to be an animator as well for Disney. And it's kind of cool. It seems like a lot of people have a love for art from a young age, but didn't plan on tattooing until they either kind of fell into it or they got their first tattoo. And then, it's a beautiful art style that, obviously is permanent. So it's really cool to hear everybody's stories about it.
Yeah.
So after you apprenticed, where did you go on from there?
After I apprenticed, I went to a shop called Evil Twins. It is a piercing shop in town. I was there for about 4.5 years, and then COVID hit. So it was the glorious time of, okay, well, that was fun. Let's figure out what we're going to do during that time.
Got it. And what did you do during that time?
I did a lot of art from home. I did a lot of wood cutting, did, wood plaques, anything that I could that wasn't tattooing people and being illegal to make money. That was art. I just do way too many things.
Got it. So obviously COVID affected pretty much everybody in the tattoo industry pretty heavily, say with gyms, things like that, anything kind of in person. Have you seen most of the shops recover since then? I know a handful that went out of business. What did you see through that time?
Actually, that's when I opened my shop. So luckily I had just been setting back money during the time of making money during that 4.5 years there. And it was never my intention to open a shop either. So it was just kind of, oh, well, we're coming back to shops just not feeling the same. None of ours actually in our town went under or decided to shut their doors. So that's awesome for all of them. But, attitudes of people definitely changed. And, you have to maintain positivity every single day. So that way you have the best day that you can with your clients, because that's what's the most important. And I didn't feel like that was what was happening in that shop anymore.
Got it. Yeah. Client relationship with the artist is huge. It was keeps them coming back. It's so much of their experience.
Yeah, and we we work really hard for an atmosphere that feels like you're at home, you're hanging out with somebody that, it's not scary, it's not intimidating, it's not, well, I'm afraid to ask a question about something, so we really try to make that atmosphere really welcoming.
Were you worried, or maybe not worried is probably not the correct word, but when you decided to go out on your own, open your own shop, uh, nervous, anxious, like what was, because it's a big step for an artist.
Yeah, I was definitely nervous. I was really nervous because it was one of those, am I going to be unsuccessful now that I've decided to no longer work in a group of artists now? That really weighed very heavily on me for a while because I would have opened my shop sooner. Um, but I really enjoyed my coworkers. But at the end of the day, coworkers don't pay your bills, and they don't also bring the entire happiness that you get from your job. So it became a part where it was, all right, I'll open it, I'll have a private studio on my own, and the people that are meant to be with me, they'll fall in my place.
There you go. So you're in I don't know if I'd say rural area of Indiana, but it's not Indianapolis.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. How is,
I'd say it's a bit more rural for sure.
yeah. How is, I guess, the tattoo culture around where you live?
Well, I don't want to say it's not like the norm because it is. The customs of, oh, hey, let me come in and pick a flash piece. That's not really something that actually happens in our area. You have to work really hard to get them to want your style here. Our area is very heavily influenced by TikTok and Pinterest trends and stuff like that. So it's a lot of working with your artist or the artist working with the client to understand, hey, let's make this unique to you. Let's make this your own piece so it can be a custom piece for you. And we're not taking somebody else's idea from the internet.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I'm looking at your Instagram right now. How did you, I guess, come up with your style? And you seem to do a lot of anime, some other kind of more, black and gray work. Where was the influence?
Honestly, just what I enjoy as a person, what I like to watch, things that make me happy. I honestly would feel is what describes my style. I like to do a lot more cartoon and anime influence just because I'm very heavily rooted in that. But I like to push myself, I don't want to stay in my comfort zone too long. So that's why I like to do, like the portrait work, and I'll do some new school, some neo trad here and there. You got to stay with the staples, do some traditional here and there too.
Yeah, as I'm looking at these, I'm trying to remember the name of the avatar's yak, and it's driving me nuts.
Oh, you're talking about Appa.
Appa, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I just started go through that series again the last couple of months, and I don't know why I blanked on his name, but he's my favorite.
I love him. I've gotten to tattoo him a couple times. Nickelodeon has actually commented on my avatar that I have on my. Yeah.
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
was one of those. I was like, wait a minute, is this a fever dream? Is this actually happening right now? So that was super cool.
That is awesome. So you started the shop a couple years ago. You have grown. I mean, what do you attribute that to? And well, we'll start with that.
Hard work, dedication, and not giving up when it gets tough, because it does. People tell you that, oh, it's hard, it's gonna get tough, and whenever you first start, it's, oh well, it's like the honeymoon stage. You're super excited, you're very happy, you started this business, and then reality hits. It's like, okay, all right, I gotta buckle down, I gotta be a big girl for a second. It's tough out here.
And you seem to have a very personable personality, and like you mentioned earlier, it's important to you to have that relationship with your clients. From what I've seen, the people I have spoke with, the shops that I've seen be most successful, the owner of the shop is like that. Like it's you love tattoos and you love the people to have a good experience.
Whenever I was in my first year of tattooing, I had a coworker who was our shop manager, and he pulled me aside one day and he said, "You're not going to get very far if you are not kind to people, even people that don't deserve it. You're not going to get far." And it stuck with me because he's right. You know, you're going to have people that push your buttons, don't understand what we're talking about, don't understand what you're trying to get across. And you still have to be kind and compassionate and understand there's other factors that could be inhibiting them from understanding fully. So working with people and being as kind and treat them the way that you want, got to stick by that golden rule.
Yeah, I think that's definitely key. I'm a firm believer of nobody is okay, not nobody. Most people are not intentionally assholes. They might just be having a bad day. They might feel stupid and confused or something like that.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, you have to think of yourself. Yeah, you're getting asked the same question 20 times. They don't know that. So you have to make sure that it doesn't come across that you're annoyed by getting the same question over and over and over and over.
Yep. And I know you guys do get pretty much the same 10 questions over and over again. So you said you didn't intentionally have a studio that's all female, that just kind of fell into place. And what's that like being in a, I guess you would say, male dominated, at least at the shop owner level?
Well, I mean, you get obviously the mix of reactions. Everyone that comes in obviously loves the idea. We get males that come in and they're like, "Hell yeah, this is awesome. You guys need something like this." And I'm like, awesome. But then, you know, we've been featured on news articles around our area as well. And, you know, you can't help but read online stuff. And some people are like, "Oh, so, well, they won't hire men." No, we won't hire men. We've just never had anybody ask. So that's how we've unintentionally become a female shop. But, you know, since that's our demographic right now, we go with it, we roll with it, and people love it.
Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, unique. And one of the reasons I really wanted to talk to you, when you do look to hire or get apprentices, this is something I like to ask everybody too, because there seems to be a general theme that I've heard about hiring apprentices, because it's a lot to ask you to take on. It's, you know, you're going to mentor this person for 6 to 9 months and maybe they'll be able to work out.
You know?
Hopefully.
Right, yeah.
So when someone is thinking about apprenticing, what do you look for?
I look for positive attitude. They have to get along with everybody that works in the shop. If we don't have that happy unit home, you're not gonna learn. Because, you know, you don't have to just learn from me. You can learn from everybody in the studio. They have to, in terms of concept, have solid concept for the ideas of their designs, what is going to be asked of them. You know, they have to be on time, and committed. A lot of people don't understand what goes into this craft. They don't understand how much sacrifice goes in terms of being a established artist.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have seen, like, they think tattoo artists, oh, it's a sexy career, like, you know, it's all fun and art, and they don't understand, like, you know, you're tattooing for 6-8 hours a day maybe, and then you're drawing and you're doing everything else, and it's not, I mean, it's still awesome, do not get me wrong. I don't know anybody that doesn't like being a tattoo artist, but there's a lot more that goes into it.
Days.
Yeah.
And physically days, you know, and it may seem like we don't, but you know, you have to be this vision board for somebody that can't fully pull it together. And it can become frustrating after, you know, you've gotten this idea, and if you've had to do it on paper and it's taken days on paper and they love it, and then you show it them and, well, now I've had a day to think about it. I don't like this and this and this and this and this. And cool, I'm glad that you said that. That's awesome, because I don't want to permanently alter you and you hate it. And, you know, you have this negative idea of, well, I can't speak up and I can't say anything because that's what the idea of tattooing is. It's our art together. It's not just my art, especially when it's a custom piece for the client.
And again, going back to being super friendly, I think that's helpful. Because I remember, when I got my first tattoo almost 18 years ago, I'm getting old. Good Lord. It was from this cholo in this, kind of ghetto shop. And like, it was like, I didn't want to say anything. And then I didn't want to go back to have him fix this one part. because it was very intimidating.
Right.
It was not the best experience. Luckily, it seems like the culture has changed a lot.
Right.
Because
I also think it's a lot of online culture that's helped change that. The stigma of, they don't have to be that way. You can speak up. It's okay. It's not going to hurt their feelings. That's really come across and really has translated into a lot of new tattooers too.
Yeah, I think online, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace back in the day, really showing my age. Yeah. Really has transformed. And again, obviously not just the, being able to show off your art, but change the culture in the way that if you don't have a good attitude, if you are disrespectful, if your tattoos aren't the greatest, you can just go online and see that. So it's kind of slowly starting to push, well, it has pushed out people that, like the first guy I got tattooed by, no one wants to go to him when they know there's these other options of these extremely friendly people that really just enjoy the art,
exactly.
and want to give you the best tattoo they can.
Love that comes through a tattoo, and you can tell somebody that loves their job, loves the craft, and is not doing it for the income.
And then you can see the ones that do it for the income, and you're like, that
absolutely.
Oh God, that's on your body the rest of your life.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, well, I'll see you in a couple months whenever you reach out to have me work some love on it.
Yep. Going back to starting a shop, I know when I started my businesses, one of the things I didn't really realize is how much is actually involved in running a business behind the scenes. Can you kind of tell me? Yeah, it's nuts, right? Your experience, because obviously going from being an artist at a shop to your own studio, you have to learn all that stuff. What was that like? I mean,
it was rough. So whenever I first opened my studio, like I said, it was right during the reopening from the pandemic. So everyone was ready to get tattooed again. So I did not even do any kind of advertising for my studio at first. I didn't advertise for the first 6 months. I was that full, that booked, that booming, to the point that I was like, I cannot respond to these people every single day. I am going to have to hire an assistant. And I never, ever, ever had to do that because it was just me before. So the load of the influx, that was crazy. Having to rely on somebody else to help and trusting somebody else to do your job that you've done for years, that was very strange at first. Because that's your baby, you've put so much into your business, and yeah, it's crazy. They really do mean that.
It is very strange. And it's this balance between, you don't want to micromanage, obviously, but it is also, like you said, your baby. And you don't want somebody to do damage that. I guess, how did you kind of work through that? Because I know there's still a lot of people, including myself, every once in a while that, you just kind of want to be looking over their shoulder, like, you shouldn't do that. But, if you do that, it takes your time, it takes your energy. Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, my husband helped throughout that, and my apprentice, actually. It got to a point where, my workload was so much that I needed somebody else to come in and take the ones that, I can knock those out, but I can give that to somebody who can make money off that one too. The simple name ones, let's give that to her. She's clean, she's crisp. So let's I don't have to do that anymore. But learning to push ones off and say, okay, well, I don't have to do that one. She can do that one. That was hard at first, obviously, because it's like, well, I know I can do that one. Do I know she can do that one? And working with her, making sure she could get that through with all the fake skin and pumpkins and fruits and everything that we tattooed. And that really helped a lot with the learning to trust others in the shop, in the business. And my husband, he has been a manager in his business for a decade. So I trust his judgment, and his just, it'll be okay. And if it's not okay, you'll repair it. You'll take it as a learning step, and we'll move forward from there, which is easier said than done, but also it's life. You gotta take it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome that your husband is part of it and helpful and has that experience, because I've definitely, when you're trying to do everything on your own and you're trying to learn everything by yourself and delegate and manage and do your taxes, and it's
I'm like,
lot.
Hey, babe, here's all this. Love you. And
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. So you said after the pandemic, when you opened your shop, you had a ton of people, you weren't marketing. Are you marketing now?
Not paid marketing, actually. We, again, just by the time it was like, okay, well, we're ready to market, we're ready to put an ad out there to more or less help her get a little bit more, because we were not a walk-in shop. We had so much influx that I didn't want somebody to be discouraged because they were in that adrenaline rush, ready to get that tattoo right now, and well, they can't get me in. Well, I don't want to come back, so that was setting up for that and moving from that. We're working on that we're getting there, but yeah.
It's great that shops, again, like yourselves, that have gotten this good reputation, word of mouth is gold. It's amazing, and treating your customers right. So that's one of the aspects I love about this. One of the other things we're trying to do is helping tattoo studios learn more about marketing. Even just things like knowing the lifetime value of a client. Like if you're going to have, like if you took your clients for the last, 5 years, how much money you made in total, how many clients you had, you get the lifetime value. And that's one of the cool things that seems like a lot of shops don't know, but like, let's say it's $800, depending on how many times they've come back. That tells you how much you can spend on your marketing to get a client and what the profit margins will be. And it's been really cool to see shops and studios that we talk to and some that we've worked with starting to do that. Because it's coming from somebody that's done so much marketing for so many different industries and companies, and then coming into tattoos, and it's like, it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy to me. It's like, it's mind-boggling, but it's so cool to be able to teach.
Need it, especially in this day and age with how frequently online algorithms change, and you could have it 1 second and it can be gone because you no longer know how to work with what you're doing anymore. So marketing is so important. And going back to the have we, or do we still do it, we're still very lucky that people see our news ad that we were featured in, and we're still getting people from that. And that was summer, early spring last year that was all happening. So crazy to think that that's still going.
It is. And it's like, I've looked at the article, actually I have it pulled up right here. Did you guys get a lot? Obviously with that, but did you get a lot of attention from because it's a female only shop, which again is, as weird as it is, kind of an oddity in the tattoo world.
Yeah, we that's more or less where bringing back conversation from earlier, where I'd read some of those comments like, oh, that's awesome, we love the female, shop, we need that, and the few others of, oh, we don't need that. We don't need that, the mixed reviews. But it's healthy. You need the balance in there. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I I'm kind of stumped on that one, actually, thinking back to it. We'll run back to that one.
Okay. What would you say to, any females trying to get into this? Because obviously there's a ton of female artists. Like we just said, there's not a lot of shop owners though. And I don't necessarily know why, because I mean, the talent's there, obviously the knowledge is there. What would you say to any, female artist that's ready to step out on her own and thinking about opening their own shop?
Do it. I'll be honest, I didn't even do a ton of research into it, because it's one of those things that if you second guess it too long, your opportunity is going to be missed. It's going to be gone. For me, it was one of those. I was very fortunate that that same location that I originally looked at a few months before I had opened was still available for me. I was like, okay, that's my sign. It's time for me to do this. So I took it, and the leap of faith is scary. It's intimidating. It's one of those, puking, crying feelings, but it's also very rewarding and really satisfying at the end of the day when this is your shop. You've made these policies. These people love this shop for these reasons. And, you can take things that you've learned from other places, other friends. What worked here? What didn't work here? Obviously, you take that, you learn that, and you create the best version of that you possibly can. And in that time, if you want to change, you want to develop it, you do that. And again, I just say, go for it. It's scary, but it's worth it.
Was there any animosity towards you by people in the area or the shop you left to start your own? Because it's competition. So
yeah, absolutely. It really sucked because I gave my entire life to that shop for a very long time, and it was, hey, I'm thinking possibly maybe it's a good time for me to step off on my own. Are you going to be okay with that? Is this okay? Can we be on good terms? Not something that they wanted. I get that. But again, they're a piercing shop. We don't offer piercings at all. So, and again, it was one of those, I don't want anyone to feel I'm in competition. I want everybody to be my neighbor and my friend. If I can't, it was one of those when I first opened and I was so busy. If I can't get you in, hey, my friend over at Evil Twins can get you in. They're awesome. They're great. They do the same amount of work. They can do it better even. Why don't you go check them out? And that's how it should be in this industry. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be tattooing for the rest of my life. There's going to come a time where my time will come. And if I don't remember that, if I don't do that now, if I don't spread that kindness now, if I don't push others to do that too, who's gonna?
Yeah, agreed. And that kind of goes back to I kind of see the industry slowly changing. I mean, it changed a lot, obviously the last over the 15 years, but even more so, it's seeing artists come together, even from different shops, and, helping each other out. It just helps the entire industry as a whole versus, the mentality of, you're my enemy because we do the same thing, but at a different shop.
Right. And, you're going to have that anywhere that you go. And if that is a factor of keeping you from opening your own, don't let it be. It's people probably talk about you while you're there. You just about it,
Yeah.
So you gotta water off the back, you gotta roll off. You gotta,
very true.
Whenever you gotta become tough. You have to become firm in policies, the way that you stand, the way that you believe in your things. Because if you don't, your client will walk all over you. They'll take advantage of that. And if you have those boundaries set, they won't.
It does almost seem like an oxymoron, but it's completely true. Like talking about client and you have to be super friendly, but there also has to be that like, so I mean, we know there's those people that will change the design 50 times if you let them, you know, and you don't put that, you know, put your foot down. So,
And then it's one of those like, okay, well, before we even get the drawing process in, let's get every tiny detail hammered out. And if I even get a tiny bit of hesitation, it's, hey, why don't you sleep on this a little bit? Why don't you come back to me in about a week? You know, this is something that we're permanently altering your body with. You know, it's an intimate procedure, whether we see it as that or not. And if you want to remember it in a negative way, it's not going to happen from me.
yeah.
We're going to only be positive.
Are there any tattoos that you absolutely love to do and any that you just refuse to do?
I love anything with color. I love any chance that I get to use color, blend color. So I mean, even if it's lines of just color, love it. But I don't really care to do like torn flags, American flag. Not that it's played out or anything. It's just I'm not patient. You know, I mean, who am I to decide what's a cool tattoo and what's not? I like what I like, and at the end of the day, that's what I deem as a cool tattoo. So I try not to dog on anybody for what they like, but I don't like doing those. I don't want to do those.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, there's seems like everybody has at least one or two things. I hear a lot of nobody wants to do an infinity symbol anymore.
I the last time I've been asked for one, and I mean, I'm gonna knock on some wood so I don't jinx myself, but it's been probably since my second year of tattooing, and I'm a really quick. We'll knock on some wood over there.
I know, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna get a rush of like 10 people asking for them.
I swear, I'll be like, "Oh, hey, my apprentice, you want to take those?"
Yep, there you go. Exactly. If everything goes how you want it to, where do you want to see your shop in 5 years?
I mean, I want to see it with a couple more female tattoos in there. I want to be full to the brim. I want it to be a walk-in shop where any one of us at any time can take you. We do a lot of traveling, so I, as a unit, would love to travel and do a lot more conventions together and meet more artists, welcome more females in, welcome males in, you know, anybody that wants to come through, because we want anyone that wants to come.
Speaking of, that's fair. Yeah. Nobody wants to tattoo an asshole, so.
No.
Speaking of conventions, what are your favorites that you've been to?
I'm actually getting ready to go to probably my top favorite next month, and it is Due South in Biloxi, Mississippi. Love that one. Super fun. It's in a casino, so everyone's there to have a great time. It's a smaller convention, so all the artists are just ready to take you in as their best friend. I've met a lot of my permanent tattooer friends from there and continue to travel to other conventions with them that I've met from that one. And I also really love Anime Inc. That one's really fun too.
Yeah, the guys at Vault put on a pretty good show.
Yeah. I'm excited for their the video game one. Getting ready to do that one too in May.
That'll be cool. My goal next year is to go to the one in Miami because it's warm and I live in the middle of a freezing cold place. So
I went to the Miami one, and I'll tell you what, I walked a lot. I did a lot of beach walking.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It was nice. We don't do beaches obviously because where we live we got farmland, so it's funny though, everyone down there, they're like, yeah, we know that's there, but we don't go on that. And I'm like, out here I am like, I love this. Awesome.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Super pale, so everyone was like, you're not from here.
Definitely not local.
You're right.
I'll let you go pretty soon. I've taken up about 40 minutes of your time. One last question is, what do you think the tattoo industry as a whole needs? And also a very vague question, but
I think it needs, as a whole, more compassion. You know, we need to understand that the way apprenticeships go don't need to happen that way anymore. They don't need to be full of hazing. I had a lot of hazing in my apprenticeship. It can be very rewarding if you just treat them with kindness. These are people that want to learn from you because they respect you as a person. They've looked up to you. So I really think in the end, kindness takes people everywhere it needs to go.
I 100% agree. And that's a good one. I like that one. I haven't heard
Thanks.
that yet. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. Yeah, it is greatly appreciated.
Well, anytime, I would love to come back.
Definitely. We will definitely have you back. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a good night.